The alien queen offers the human diplomat one night as a royal welcome. Valora, the planet he had been traveling to for months, slowly revealed itself through the thin window glass. From orbit, it looked like a jewel suspended in the darkness of space. Its cities floated above the surface, connected by shimmering bridges of light, and glowing towers stretched toward the twin suns. He felt a mix of awe and nervousness. He had seen pictures, studied reports, and read every account of the Valora civilization, but nothing prepared him for the sight of it in person. Ilias' mission was simple in words, but monumental in meaning. Establish trust with Queen Salira and negotiate an alliance that could change the relationship between humans and Valorans forever. Humanity had long looked to the stars with curiosity, sometimes fear, and sometimes ambition. Valora was one of the few civilizations in the galaxy known for intelligence, culture, and advanced technology. And now, for the first time, a human would walk among them as an honored guest. The shuttle touched down on a landing platform suspended above the central city. It was enormous, a circular structure of iridescent metal that pulsed softly with energy. As the hatch opened, Ilias stepped onto the platform, feeling the slight pull of Valora's gravity. It was similar to Earth's, but just a little lighter. The air smelled faintly of ozone and something sweet, like blooming flowers after a rainstorm. His translator device hummed softly in his ear, ready to convert the alien language into something he could understand. A figure awaited him at the platform's edge, Queen Salira. She did not look at all as Ilias had expected. Her form was tall and elegant, with a skin color that shimmered between silver and lavender. Her eyes were large, luminous, and calm, reflecting both wisdom and curiosity. She wore flowing robes that seemed to float around her, moving as if alive. "Welcome to Valora Ilias Kane," she said. Her voice was melodic, soothing, and carried a weight that made him stand at attention without even thinking. "We are honored to have you as our guest. Your journey has been long and your courage is recognized." Ilias bowed slightly, feeling the honor but also the responsibility. "Your Majesty, the honor is mine. I hope my presence here strengthens the bond between our worlds." Salira inclined her head, a gesture that seemed both regal and warm. "Tonight you will experience the traditional Night of Honor. It is a ceremony reserved for those we wish to welcome with respect and trust. You will see our culture, our arts, and the values that guide our civilization." Ilias swallowed, a mix of excitement and nerves rising in his chest. A night of honor. He had read about it in reports. Guests were celebrated in ways that honored bravery, wisdom, and respect, but experiencing it firsthand would be different. He knew he had to show himself as a worthy representative of humanity. The Queen led him across the platform to a lift that glided silently into the air. Through the transparent walls, Ilias saw the city in all its splendor. Buildings floated like clouds, connected by glowing bridges. Beams of light arced between towers, pulsing rhythmically, as if the city itself were alive. Strange creatures flew through the air, some resembling birds, others with forms he could not even name. As they arrived at the crystalline courtyard, Ilias' breath caught. The entire space glowed with bioluminescent plants and structures. Lanterns floated in the air, casting shifting colors across the courtyard. Alien citizens moved gracefully through the space, their appearances varied and fascinating. Some had elongated limbs, others had multiple eyes or luminous patterns across their skin. Despite their differences, there was a harmony in the way they moved, as if each being were a note in a larger symphony. "This is where the ceremony begins," Salira explained. "Observe, participate, and respect our traditions. Tonight is about understanding, trust, and friendship." Ilias nodded, feeling the weight of responsibility settle on his shoulders. He had practiced bowing, hand gestures, and greetings, but he quickly realized that Valoran customs went far beyond formalities. Every movement, every expression seemed to carry meaning. The ceremony started with music. Ilias had never heard sounds like this. The instruments were alien, some producing tones that resonated within his chest, others creating harmonics that seemed to linger in the air. The performers moved in ways that defied gravity, leaping, spinning, and floating above the ground. Lights followed their movements, tracing shapes and patterns in the air. Ilias realized that the performance was not just entertainment. It was a story, a display of culture, history, and values. Then came the weaving of alliances, a ritual that involved threads of light extending from the performers to the guests. Elias hesitated for a moment, unsure of what to do. A Valoran approached, extending a glowing thread toward him. He reached out, and as his fingers touched the light, he felt a subtle warmth and energy flow through him. The thread intertwined with another from the queen, creating a small, radiant knot. Salira's eyes met his, and he understood the symbolism immediately: unity, cooperation, and mutual respect. Throughout the ceremony, Elias was introduced to Valoran dignitaries from other cities and planets. Each meeting was brief but meaningful. He learned that the Valorans valued knowledge, creativity, and courage. They asked questions not just about Earth's technology or politics, but about humanity itself, our hopes, fears, and dreams. Elias answered honestly, sometimes struggling to find the right words, but he found that sincerity mattered more than eloquence. As the night deepened, the queen led Elias to a quiet part of the courtyard. A pool of liquid crystal reflected the twin suns above, casting light in every color imaginable. "Elias," she said, "your people are young compared to ours, but I see potential. Potential for growth, for wisdom, for courage. That is why you are honored tonight, not just for being a diplomat, but for representing what humanity can be." Elias felt a rush of pride and humility. He had trained his whole life for moments like this, but he had never expected to be recognized in such a profound way. "Your Majesty, I am grateful. I hope I can live up to your trust." Salira's lips curved into a faint smile. "You already have." The Night of Honor is not merely a ceremony. It is a test of character. You have shown respect, curiosity, and courage. Remember this feeling, Elias. It will guide you in the days to come. As the first of the twin suns began to set, casting golden light across the courtyard, Elias reflected on what lay ahead. The treaty he hoped to negotiate was only the beginning. Understanding the Valorans, earning their trust, and showing humanity's worthiness would require patience, wisdom, and bravery. But in that moment, standing beneath glowing lanterns with the alien queen by his side, he felt ready. The ceremony ended with a final display, a cascade of light shooting into the sky, forming shapes and symbols that Elias could not fully comprehend. The citizens of Valora cheered, not loudly, but in a harmonious hum that resonated through the air. Elias joined in, feeling a strange connection to this world, its people, and its values. As he retired to the guest quarters prepared for him, Elias could not stop thinking about the Queen's words. Humanity had traveled far, faced great challenges, and survived countless dangers. Now, on a distant world among beings of incredible intelligence and beauty, humanity had a chance to show that it was worthy of friendship and respect in the galaxy. He looked out the window at the floating city, glowing under the twin suns. Somewhere in the night, the music of the courtyard still lingered, a melody of harmony, courage, and honor. Elias Kane, the human diplomat, had arrived. And the Night of Honor had only just begun. The air in the crystalline courtyard was electric, though Elias Kane could feel only a calm, almost gentle hum as the alien world around him shimmered in light. The Night of Honor, a tradition older than any human civilization, had begun in earnest. It was more than a ceremony. It was a test, a display, and a bridge between worlds. Elias followed Queen Salira as she guided him toward the center of the courtyard, where a large circular platform glowed faintly. The surface was smooth, reflecting the floating lights and alien architecture. Around the platform, alien citizens gathered, their forms varied yet harmonious, each radiating curiosity and intelligence. "You will take part in our rituals tonight," Salira said, her voice both commanding and kind. "They are not merely for entertainment, they reveal character. They show how you think, how you feel, and how you act when faced with the unknown." Elias nodded, feeling a mixture of excitement and apprehension. He had trained in diplomacy, negotiation, and human psychology, but this was different. He had to understand not just words, but actions, gestures, and symbols that carried meaning beyond language. The first ritual was the Dance of Lights. Performers moved across the platform with grace that defied gravity, leaving trails of shimmering luminescence in their wake. Their movements told stories, stories of battles, of discovery, of cooperation, and of wisdom. Elias watched, mesmerized, trying to understand the meanings behind each step, each spin, each leap. Then, to his surprise, Salira gestured for him to join. "Do not fear. Move as you feel. Let your instincts guide you. This is not a test of skill, but of sincerity." Elias hesitated, then stepped onto the platform. At first, he moved stiffly, feeling awkward among beings who seemed to float effortlessly. But as he focused on the rhythm, the glowing threads guiding the dancers, he found a rhythm of his own. The citizens around him observed silently, and he realized that his willingness to participate, to try and respect their ways, was itself a statement. The dance ended with threads of light converging from every performer, forming a luminous sphere in the center of the platform. Elias touched the sphere, feeling a subtle warmth pass through him. It was not just energy, it was connection, a silent acknowledgement that he was part of this moment. Next came the trial of knowledge. Aliens approached him with questions, not about mundane topics, but about Earth's history, its achievements, its mistakes, and its dreams. One being with translucent skin asked, "Humans have sent machines to other planets. Why have you not yet united as a species to reach further into the stars?" Elias took a deep breath. "We are young, and we are learning. Our strength lies not just in our technology, but in our ability to adapt, to create, and to grow. We have flaws, but we have courage and ingenuity. We are learning to overcome our divisions and to work together." Another alien, small and with multiple eyes that blinked independently, asked, "Do you think your species can learn to respect other civilizations as you respect us tonight?" Elias met its gaze. "I hope so. We have learned from mistakes, from conflict, from cooperation. Humanity has the potential to rise above fear and misunderstanding. We can learn to work with others, to honor their ways, and to share knowledge and resources." The aliens nodded, their expressions impossible to fully read, yet Elias felt the approval. This was HFY in its essence, human courage, honesty, and wisdom being recognized by a superior civilization. Then came the most personal part of the Night of Honor, the weaving of alliances. Elias had seen the ritual briefly when he arrived, but now he participated fully. Threads of light extended from the Queen, from the citizens, and from the platform itself. They intertwined with his own aura, creating small knots of luminous energy. As his fingers brushed a thread from Scifi, Elias felt a connection deeper than he expected. It was a form of communication, almost like empathy without words. The Queen's thoughts were clear yet gentle: trust, courage, honesty, humanity has potential. He returned the sentiment with his own mind: "I will do my best. I respect your people and your world. I hope we can learn from each other." The threads glowed brighter, forming patterns that Elias could not interpret but could feel. They symbolized cooperation, unity, and mutual respect. When the ritual ended, Scifi placed her hand lightly on his shoulder, a gesture of approval and warmth. After the formal rituals, the Queen led Elias to a quieter part of the courtyard. A crystalline pool reflected the twin suns in the sky, and bioluminescent plants swayed gently around them. Here, the night was not about display or ritual. It was about conversation, understanding, and thought. "Tell me about your people, Elias," Scifi said. "I want to know what drives humans. What makes you brave, foolish, hopeful, or determined?" Elias spoke of humanity's history, our struggles, our achievements, our mistakes, and our dreams. He spoke of the first moon landing, of the explorers who journeyed into deep oceans and uncharted lands, and of the scientists who sought knowledge for the betterment of all. He did not hide the wars or the conflicts, but he emphasized the lessons learned, the resilience, and the constant striving for improvement. Scifi listened, nodding occasionally, her large, luminous eyes reflecting the stars above. "Humans are complex," she said finally. "You are young, but you have spirit. That spirit that will to learn and to grow is rare in the galaxy. You remind us that potential is not measured by age or power, but by the choices one makes." Elias felt a surge of pride and humility. Here, on a world far from Earth, the potential of humanity was being recognized. But he also realized the weight of responsibility. Every word, every gesture, every decision could affect the future of relations between worlds. As the night went on, the celebration continued in different forms. There were displays of alien art, where floating sculptures shifted in shape and color according to the emotions of the viewer. There were games of strategy that tested perception and reasoning, some so complex that Elias could barely follow, yet he tried his best, learning quickly from mistakes and showing perseverance. He was offered alien food, strange but surprisingly familiar in texture and taste, each dish carefully designed to stimulate both senses and mind. As he ate, he observed the Valora citizens, their interactions gentle, respectful, and intelligent. He realized that their society, though advanced, was not based on domination or conquest, but on understanding and harmony. At one point, a small group of young Valorans approached him. They had never seen a human up close and were curious, shy, but eager. Elias knelt slightly to be at their level, answering questions about Earth, teaching them simple words and laughing with them. In that moment, he felt the universality of connection. Across species, across worlds, across differences, there was a common thread of curiosity and understanding. Finally, as the twin sons began their descent, the queen returned to Elias' side. "Tonight has been long," she said, her voice soft but firm. "You have shown patience, courage, curiosity, and respect. These are the qualities we honor most. Remember that the Night of Honor is not a fleeting event, it is a reflection of your character. The choices you make tomorrow and in the days to come will define the trust we place in your species." Elias bowed his head, humbled. "Your Majesty, I will do my best. I understand the honor you have given me, and I will strive to live up to it." Salira placed her hand on his shoulder again, a gesture that conveyed approval, reassurance, and a subtle promise of partnership. "Then rest, Elias Kane. Tomorrow our discussions will begin. Tonight was about understanding. Tomorrow is about building a future together." As Elias retired to the guest chambers, he reflected on everything he had seen and experienced. The night had been more than a ceremony. It had been a journey of understanding, a test of character, and an introduction to a civilization that valued knowledge, courage, and unity above all else. He looked out from the balcony at the glowing city, the floating bridges, the soft light of the twin suns, and the patterns of the luminous clouds. A sense of wonder and purpose filled him. Humanity had traveled far, faced many challenges, and learned many lessons. Now, on a world so distant and extraordinary, humans had the opportunity to show their worth, not through conquest, but through courage, wisdom, and respect. Elias Kane had begun his first night on Valora, and it was a night that would shape his mission, his understanding of humanity, and the trust between worlds. He understood more than ever that being human meant more than survival or intelligence. It meant empathy, perseverance, courage, and the willingness to connect across differences. And as the stars shimmered in the alien sky above, Elias knew that this was only the beginning. The Night of Honor had tested him, welcomed him, and inspired him. Tomorrow he would face new challenges, but tonight he had proven, first to himself, and then to a galaxy far from Earth, that humanity's spirit was something extraordinary indeed. The sun had barely risen over Valora when Elias Kane awoke, still carrying the vivid memories of the Night of Honor. The glowing city outside his window seemed quieter now, but its beauty remained breathtaking. Floating bridges glimmered in the morning light, and the twin suns cast long shadows across crystalline towers. Elias knew that the coming day would be one of conversation, observation, and learning, critical steps in his mission to establish trust and understanding. After a brief meal of alien fruits and nutrient-rich grains designed to enhance alertness, Elias was escorted to the Queen's observation pavilion, a structure suspended high above the city. From there, one could see nearly every corner of the floating metropolis, as well as the surrounding landscape. Glowing forests, rivers that sparkled like liquid crystal, and distant mountains that shimmered with bioluminescent minerals. Queen Salira awaited him, her presence serene and commanding. "Elias Kane," she said, "you have shown patience, respect, and courage during the Night of Honor. Tonight we will deepen our understanding of one another. Today you will see not only our civilization, but our ways of thinking." Elias bowed respectfully. "Your Majesty, I am ready to learn. I hope I can honor your guidance." Salira gestured toward a small platform at the edge of the pavilion. "We will begin with a tour of our knowledge archives. These are more than records. They are living representations of our history, thought, and ethics. You will see how we approach problem-solving, creativity, and moral reasoning." Elias followed her onto the platform. As they descended, the walls of the pavilion transformed, displaying holographic images of Valora's history. Unlike human records, these images did not simply show events. They projected feelings, decisions, and consequences. Elias watched a pivotal moment: the unification of Valora's scattered cities centuries ago. The archive showed not only the political strategies, but also the empathy, negotiation, and reasoning of the leaders involved. He felt as if he were witnessing their minds, understanding the careful balance of logic and morality that had guided their civilization. This is fascinating, Elias said. You do not merely record events, you capture the thinking behind them. Salira nodded. We believe that knowledge is incomplete without understanding the process of thought. A decision without context is meaningless. That is why our archives are living, not static. They teach us to think, to anticipate consequences, and to act wisely. Elias felt a deep admiration. Humans had libraries, databases, and historical records, but Valora had gone further. They had mastered the art of learning not just facts, but wisdom, the capacity to apply knowledge ethically and creatively. As they walked further, Salira asked, "Tell me, Elias, how do humans teach wisdom?" Elias paused, choosing his words carefully. "We have schools, mentors, and books. We study history, philosophy, and science. But I believe the true teaching comes from experience, learning from mistakes, from cooperation, and from challenges. Humanity grows through trial, reflection, and empathy." The Queen considered this, her eyes glowing faintly. "Empathy is indeed rare among intelligent species. You recognize it as a tool for growth, not merely a feeling. That is admirable." Next, she led Elias to a room where Valorans practiced simulated scenarios, interactive holograms that tested logic, strategy, and ethics. One simulation involved resolving a resource conflict between two floating cities. The challenge was not merely to find a solution, but to balance fairness, efficiency, and long-term sustainability. Elias was invited to participate. He approached the simulation cautiously, aware that every choice mattered. He proposed solutions based on cooperation and compromise, weighing each city's needs equally. The hologram responded, showing the consequences of each choice. At first, some results were less than ideal, but Elias adapted quickly, learning from the feedback and proposing improved solutions. Salira observed quietly. "Humans are resilient," she said. "You learn, adapt, and improve in real time. That is a rare trait. Many civilizations become rigid, repeating the same patterns even when they fail. You, however, evolve with experience." Elias felt a surge of pride. This was more than a diplomatic exercise. It was proof that human intelligence was not just about knowledge, but about flexibility, creativity, and ethical reasoning. After the simulations, Salira invited Elias to walk in the reflecting gardens, a suspended park filled with bioluminescent plants and flowing streams of colored water. The plants responded to thoughts and emotions, subtly changing their glow according to mood. Elias marveled at the subtlety of the interaction. The garden was alive, not merely decorative, and it encouraged mindfulness and introspection. "Humans often speak of balance," Salira said. "We show it through living harmony. Our gardens teach reflection, patience, and empathy. Every choice in life has ripple effects. Understanding this is key to leadership, to science, and to civilization." Elias knelt near a flowing stream, observing the glowing patterns shift with his thoughts. He realized that humans, too, had potential to create such harmony, if only they could combine technology with wisdom and empathy. "Your civilization has endured challenges, Elias," Salira continued. "Tell me, how do humans face adversity?" Elias thought carefully. "We face adversity in many ways, through courage, through cooperation, and through perseverance. We fail often, but we learn from failure. Even when we are divided, some humans strive to unite, to overcome difficulties for the greater good. I believe that is our strength. We try, we adapt, and we care enough to make the effort." The Queen nodded thoughtfully. "Strength lies not only in might, but in persistence and morality. That is why we honor you tonight. You embody the human spirit that deserves recognition. And now I wish to show you something more personal." She led him to the Chamber of Thoughts, a circular room filled with softly glowing orbs. Each orb contained the memory, experiences, and perspectives of a Valoran leader, thinker, or citizen. Elias stepped carefully, aware that these orbs represented living consciousness. "Here you may observe how we reason, feel, and imagine," Salira explained. "But do not touch. Respect is necessary. Understanding does not require intrusion." Elias focused on one orb, and through the translator interface, was able to listen to the thoughts within. He experienced the perspective of a young Valoran engineer who had designed floating bridges decades ago. He felt the engineer's excitement, his careful calculations, and the joy of seeing his creation support the community. Elias realized that intelligence was not merely a tool. It was intertwined with emotion, ethics, and creativity. He moved to another orb, containing the mind of a Valoran philosopher. Here, thoughts flowed not in linear patterns, but as webs of logic and intuition. Elias struggled to comprehend at first, but he noticed similarities with human reasoning, curiosity, empathy, and the search for meaning. "You see, Elias," Salira said softly, "our minds are complex, yet not so different from yours. We value reflection, creativity, and morality. We hope that when humans interact with us, you approach us not as obstacles, but as fellow thinkers, capable of understanding and cooperation." Elias felt a profound respect for the Queen and her people. He understood that Valora was not just advanced in technology or culture, but in thought. They had mastered the art of reasoning, ethical decision-making, and creativity. And yet, they welcomed him as an equal, a human who could learn, adapt, and contribute. The day continued with discussions about science, ethics, and diplomacy. Elias shared human achievements, space exploration, medical advancements, and cultural innovations. He was honest about failures, environmental challenges, and conflicts. Salira listened intently, asking thoughtful questions, challenging assumptions, and encouraging reflection. By the end of the day, Elias felt a profound connection not only to Valora, but to the potential of humanity. He realized that being human meant more than survival, intellect, or curiosity. It meant courage, empathy, creativity, and the willingness to understand others, even when they were entirely different. As night fell, the Queen returned him to the observation pavilion. The twin suns set, painting the sky with colors Elias had no names for. The floating city glowed softly beneath them, alive with energy, culture, and thought. "Tomorrow," Salira said, "you will face challenges that test more than understanding. You will see that courage and action are as vital as knowledge. The night of honor continues, but its lessons are only beginning. Prepare yourself, Elias Kane, for the path ahead is both demanding and rewarding." Elias bowed, filled with determination. "I will be ready, Your Majesty. I will honor your trust and do my best to represent humanity." As he gazed out over Valora, he understood that the journey was far from over. Knowledge had been shared, understanding had been built, and respect had been earned, but true tests awaited. And Elias Kane, human diplomat, felt ready to prove that humanity's spirit, ingenuity, and courage were qualities worthy of the galaxy's admiration. The morning air on Valora was crisp and vibrant, filled with the scent of bioluminescent flora. Elias Kane had spent the night reflecting on what he had learned. The night of honor had tested his patience, his curiosity, and his understanding, but he knew that the greatest test was still ahead. He felt ready, yet a subtle tension lingered in his mind. The Queen had promised challenges, and his instincts told him that today would be different. Queen Salira met him at the observation pavilion as the first rays of the twin suns touched the floating city. Her expression was calm, but her large, luminous eyes carried a seriousness that immediately drew Elias' attention. "Elias Kane," she said, "you have learned much about our people, our thinking, and our ways. Today you will see that knowledge and courage must work together. A challenge approaches that will require quick decisions, careful reasoning, and trust in others. Are you prepared?" Elias nodded firmly. "I am, Your Majesty. I will do my best." Without further explanation, the Queen led him to a control chamber overlooking the floating city. Screens of light displayed every angle, every street, and every bridge. For a moment, everything seemed normal. Then a low hum began, growing steadily in intensity. "What is happening?" Elias asked, noticing the faint vibrations in the platform. Salira's expression remained composed. "An interstellar energy storm is approaching. It is unlike anything we have seen in recent history. Its energy is unpredictable. If it strikes the floating cities directly, it could damage structures, disrupt life, and endanger thousands." Elias felt a surge of adrenaline. This was no longer a ceremonial test. This was a real threat. "How much time do we have?" "Minutes, not hours," Salira replied. "We must act quickly." Elias moved to the control interface, analyzing the storm's trajectory. It was enormous, a swirling mass of energy moving faster than any storm he had studied in human records. He quickly realized that standard defenses would not hold. They needed a coordinated response: shields, evacuations, and structural reinforcement. "Queen Salira," Elias said, "we need to prioritize life support, energy shields, and evacuation routes. I can calculate the optimal distribution of shield energy and coordinate response teams to minimize risk." Salira's eyes glowed faintly in acknowledgement. "Do it." Show us what humans can do when thought meets action. Elia's mind raced. He assigned tasks to Valoran engineers, directing them to strengthen critical points on the floating bridges and buildings. He coordinated with emergency teams, suggesting evacuation protocols and safe zones. Every decision had consequences, and he felt the weight of every life in the city on his shoulders. As the storm approached, he noticed that some citizens panicked. Elias took a deep breath and addressed them through the communication system. Calm yourselves, follow the instructions. The Queen and I are working together to keep everyone safe. Trust in the plans and trust in your strength. The Valora citizens responded, their natural discipline and training allowing them to follow directions swiftly. Elias felt a flicker of pride. Humanity was often admired for courage, but courage alone was not enough. In this moment, he realized that the combination of reason, communication, and adaptability, human traits, was invaluable. The first wave of the storm hit, sending pulses of energy through the city. Bridges shuddered and lights flickered, but the shields held. Elias adjusted energy flows, compensating for weak points, rerouting power where needed. Salira stood beside him, calm and focused, her mind clearly coordinating other critical measures. Your calculations are precise, she said. You adapt quickly under pressure. Humans may be young, but you are capable of remarkable focus and clarity in moments of crisis. Elias did not have time to respond. Another surge struck, this time directly at the central floating platform. He felt the vibrations through the floor but stayed focused. Divert energy from the peripheral shields to the central hub. Reinforce structural stabilizers. Evacuate the citizens in this sector first. Engineers and citizens moved quickly, following his instructions. For a moment, everything seemed to hang in balance. Then a sudden gap appeared in the energy shield, a flaw he had not anticipated. A small group of children was trapped near a collapsing bridge. Without hesitation, Elias activated a personal rescue drone, guiding it through the storm's energy field to reach them. He coordinated the retrieval, giving clear instructions to nearby adults. Within moments, all children were safely evacuated. Salira's eyes met his, shining with approval. Your courage is matched by your decisiveness. That is rare, Elias Kane. Many would hesitate in the face of immediate danger. You act, and you think simultaneously. That is a trait of leadership and of humanity at its finest. The storm raged for hours, each pulse testing the limits of the city's defenses and the resolve of its people. Elias moved continuously, recalculating paths, adjusting shields, and providing guidance. Fatigue began to creep in, but he ignored it, driven by determination and the responsibility he felt. Finally, as the twin suns began to set, the storm weakened. The floating city had survived with minimal damage, a remarkable outcome given the intensity of the storm. Elias slumped slightly, exhausted but relieved. The citizens cheered softly, not just for survival, but for the skill, courage, and leadership that had guided them through the crisis. Salira approached him once the immediate danger had passed. Elias Kane, you have done more than survive this storm. You have proven that humanity is capable of extraordinary bravery, intelligence, and leadership. The Night of Honor was only the beginning, but tonight, you have demonstrated the true potential of your species. Elias felt a deep sense of accomplishment. He had arrived as a guest, an observer, and a diplomat, but he had acted as a protector and a strategist. He realized that humanity's strengths, curiosity, courage, adaptability, and empathy, were not just abstract traits but practical tools that could save lives, build trust, and bridge worlds. The Queen led him to a balcony overlooking the city. The twin suns cast a golden glow on the floating platforms and bridges. Citizens moved with purpose, repairing minor damages, checking shields, and comforting one another. Elias watched silently, feeling a profound connection to this world and its people. You see, Elias, Salira said softly, courage alone is not enough. Knowledge alone is not enough. Wisdom is not enough unless it is applied. Humanity, in its uniqueness, combines these qualities in ways that can influence entire civilizations. That is why you are honored here, not just as an ambassador, but as a symbol of what your species can achieve. Elias nodded, humbled. Your Majesty, I am honored beyond words. I came to learn to represent Earth and to build trust. Tonight, I have learned that trust and respect are earned through action, not just words. I hope I can continue to prove humanity's worth. Salira smiled faintly. You already have. But remember, Elias Kane, the galaxy is vast and challenges will continue. What you do next, and the example you set, will ripple across worlds. Never underestimate the power of courage guided by thought and empathy. As the night deepened, Elias returned to his guest chambers, his mind still racing with the events of the day. The storm had tested him in ways he had never imagined. It had pushed him to act decisively, to think quickly, and to rely on both human ingenuity and cooperation with Valora's citizens. He realized that being human meant more than survival. It meant using intelligence, courage, and empathy to face challenges, no matter how unexpected or overwhelming. Before resting, he looked out at the glowing city below. He thought of the children he had helped save, the engineers he had guided, and the citizens who had trusted him. A sense of pride and responsibility filled him. Humanity was young in the galaxy, but tonight, Elias Kane had proven that humans were capable of greatness, of leadership, and of inspiring trust even among the most advanced civilizations. And as the twin suns set completely, leaving the city bathed in the soft glow of bioluminescent lights, Elias felt a quiet determination. The Night of Honor had begun with celebration and learning, but it had become a testament to humanity's courage, wisdom, and resilience. The future still held challenges, negotiations, and discoveries, but Elias Kane knew that humans had a place among the stars, not just as observers, but as equals, innovators, and partners. For the first time, he understood that the greatest honor was not recognition or ceremony. It was the opportunity to act, to protect, and to prove that humanity's spirit could shine brightly, even in worlds far beyond Earth. The morning light over Valora was gentle, but it carried the weight of accomplishment. The floating city had survived the energy storm with minimal damage, thanks to the courage, ingenuity, and quick thinking of Elias Kane. Yet the day ahead was no less important. Today would be the day of formal agreements, conversations that would determine the future relationship between Earth and Valora. Elias dressed carefully in the ceremonial attire provided by the Queen, a suit of subtle light-reflecting fabric that shimmered softly in the sunlight. It was a symbol of respect, a gesture to show that he embraced Valora's culture while remaining human. Queen Selira awaited him in the central hall, a structure larger than any building Elias had seen. Its walls glowed softly with bioluminescent patterns, and the ceiling reflected the twin suns like a giant crystal dome. Valoran dignitaries from across the planet had gathered, along with representatives from other allied species. The atmosphere was one of anticipation and hope. "Elias Kane," the Queen said, her voice calm and regal, "you have demonstrated courage, intelligence, and respect. Humanity has shown us its potential. Today we formalize a bond that will last generations." Elias bowed respectfully. "Your Majesty, it is an honor. Humanity seeks friendship, cooperation, and mutual learning. We hope to be worthy partners to your people." The first part of the ceremony involved the signing of the alliance, a complex process that combined symbolism, legal frameworks, and mutual commitments. Holographic records displayed the terms: shared scientific research, cultural exchanges, joint exploration of neighboring systems, and mutual defense in times of cosmic threat. Elias noticed the Valora citizens watching attentively. Some had helped him during the storm, some had observed his participation in the Night of Honor. Now they saw the culmination of his efforts, a human being recognized not only as a guest, but as an equal partner in interstellar affairs. When the signing was complete, the Queen placed her hand on a glowing sphere that symbolized unity. Elias did the same. The sphere expanded in light, projecting a ripple across the city, visible from every floating platform. Citizens gasped as the light spread, and Elias realized that this was a Valoran way of showing that a new era had begun, one of trust, cooperation, and shared destiny. After the formalities, Queen Selira led Elias to a balcony overlooking the city. The twin suns shone brightly, reflecting off the floating structures, the rivers, and the glowing forests. "Elias," she said, "today you have proven more than diplomacy. You have shown courage, quick thinking, and the ability to adapt under pressure. These qualities, combined with honesty and empathy, define humanity's potential in the galaxy." Elias smiled, humbled and proud. "Your Majesty, I could not have done this alone. Your guidance, your people's trust, and their willingness to cooperate made this possible. I hope this is just the beginning of a lasting relationship between our worlds." Salira's eyes glowed faintly, a subtle sign of approval and warmth. It is only the beginning, Elias Kane. The galaxy is vast and many challenges lie ahead. But now Earth has friends among the stars, and you have proven that humans are capable of standing alongside the most advanced civilizations, not as observers, but as equals. The Queen invited Elias to a private tour of the Central Council chamber, where decisions about Valora's governance were made. He saw representatives from different cities, species, and disciplines working together seamlessly. Unlike human governments, which often struggled with division and inefficiency, Valora had achieved a level of coordination and cooperation that Elias admired deeply. "You will see, Elias," Salira said, "that leadership is not about control. It is about understanding, listening, and acting for the greater good. Humans have the capacity to learn this, and I believe your species will find ways to excel in unity as well." Elias observed quietly, absorbing the lessons. He thought about Earth, about the conflicts, the challenges, and the possibilities. If humans could combine courage with wisdom, creativity with empathy, they could become not only explorers but partners, builders, and leaders in the galaxy. After the tour, Salira led him to a terrace overlooking a vast valley where rivers of light flowed through glowing forests. Citizens were beginning a festival in honor of the Alliance, combining art, music, and technology in ways that transcended imagination. Elias joined in, learning dances, observing performances, and sharing stories of Earth. For the first time, he felt a deep connection, not just to the Queen or the officials, but to the people themselves. "You see, Elias Kane," Salira said softly, "alliances are built not only with words, but with understanding and shared experiences. Tonight, your people will learn from ours and ours from you. This is the essence of cooperation and peace." As the day transitioned to night, the twin suns dipped below the horizon, leaving the city bathed in soft, multicolored light. Lanterns floated in the sky, music echoed through the platforms, and citizens celebrated with joy, wonder, and curiosity. Elias watched, feeling a sense of fulfillment he had never known. Humanity had arrived on Valora not as conquerors or spectators, but as partners in a vast, living civilization. Later, the Queen took Elias to the Hall of Reflection, a quiet space filled with mirrors and lights that responded to thought and emotion. Here, the two could speak privately without distractions. "Elias," Salira said, "your actions have proven that humanity's potential is extraordinary. You have shown courage, intelligence, and empathy. But most importantly, you have shown that humans are willing to learn, to adapt, and to grow. That is why I honor you tonight, not just as a diplomat, but as a representative of your species' best qualities." Elias felt humbled. "Your Majesty, I am honored beyond words. I have learned more in these days than I could have imagined. I hope that humanity will continue to grow, to learn, and to live up to the trust you have placed in us." Salira's expression softened. "You have already begun that journey. Humanity has been tested, and it has proven itself worthy. The galaxy will notice. And I believe that, together, our civilizations can achieve remarkable things." The Hall of Reflection allowed them a moment of calm after the day's celebrations. Elias thought about the storm, the Night of Honor, the knowledge archives, and the council chambers. Every experience had tested him, taught him, and shown him the strengths of both his species and Valora's. He realized that humanity's journey among the stars was not about conquest, but about understanding, cooperation, and proving the value of the human spirit. As the night deepened, Elias returned to his chambers, reflecting on everything he had witnessed and experienced. The floating city below was alive with music, lights, and celebration, yet he knew that the true celebration was the Alliance itself, a living, breathing testament to cooperation, courage, and mutual respect. He gazed out at the city, thinking about the future. Humanity had taken its first step into a larger galaxy, and tonight had proven that humans could not only survive but thrive among the stars. The Night of Honor had begun with ceremony, continued with challenges, and ended with a recognition of humanity's potential. Elias Kane knew that his mission was only the beginning. Earth had new friends, new partners, and new possibilities. Humans had proven that their courage, ingenuity, and empathy were qualities to be respected across the galaxy. And as he looked at the glowing city of Valora, he felt a quiet certainty. The future was bright, the Alliance strong, and humanity's place among the stars secure. Tomorrow would bring new discussions, new challenges, and new opportunities. But for now, Elias allowed himself a moment of peace. He had proven, through action, thought, and respect, that humanity's spirit could shine brightly even in worlds far from Earth. He had learned that courage guided by wisdom, empathy in action, and adaptability in crisis were the qualities that defined his species, and that these qualities could inspire trust and admiration even among the most advanced civilizations. The twin suns' glow faded completely, leaving the floating city bathed in the gentle light of bioluminescent structures and lanterns. The citizens celebrated with quiet joy, feeling the harmony of shared purpose and achievement. Elias Kane, human diplomat, stood at the heart of it all, a symbol of humanity's potential and a living proof that humans were ready to take their place among the stars. And as he finally rested, he understood the truth of the Night of Honor. It was not just a ceremony, a test, or a challenge. It was a recognition of the human spirit itself, a spirit capable of courage, wisdom, and connection that could leave a lasting mark on the galaxy.